Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something big. India, as it races towards 2047, its 100th year of independence. We've gone through quite a bit of material for this, all focused on India 2047, vision, challenges, and the road ahead. And our goal, really, is to unpack what it means for a nation this vast, 1.4 billion people, to be on the edge of this huge shift, moving from, well, what's often called a developing nation to potentially a major global player. It's quite something to think about.
It really is, and what jumps out from the sources is this underlying question. It's not just about GDP or trade figures. It's deeper. It runs through everything. Can India rise together, or will we rise divided? That hits on values, innovation, being resilient, national unity. It's about much more than just the economy.
Yeah, that sets a complex stage.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's dive into this Vision India 2047. This is the official government initiative, right?
Yeah.
Driven by Niti Aayog, their main policy think tank. And the goal is massive. Become a developed nation by 2047.
Huge ambition.
And PM Modi's vision rests on a few key ideas, doesn't it? There's self-reliance at Manure Bharat.
Boosting domestic production.
Sustainable development, tech-driving growth, but making it inclusive.
Yep.
And global leadership. Diplomacy, climate, innovation, it's a broad sweep.
And the sources give us actual numbers, concrete targets to pin this vision onto, which is helpful. Like the economy they're talking about, going from roughly $3.7 trillion today to $30 trillion by 2047.
Wow, 30 trillion, that's hard to even picture.
It's an enormous leap. And alongside that, reducing poverty to below 5%, universal access to affordable health care.
That's a big one.
Huge. And getting 100% internet access in rural areas. Think about what that unlocks.
Right, connectivity everywhere.
Plus, 50% of energy from non-fossil fuels. And education world-class universities, better skills training.
So when you say $30 trillion economy, it's not just a headline number. It connects to all these other things, healthcare, internet, energy.
Exactly. What does that actually mean for people's daily lives? Better healthcare access, reliable internet in your village, cleaner air. That's the tangible side of the vision.
Okay, and the engine for all this, according to the sources, seems to be India's youth.
Absolutely. It's the standout asset.
The statistic is just mind-boggling. 65% of the population is under 35.
65%. That's an incredible demographic wave.
You just think about the sheer scale of talent coming through. Engineers, doctors, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs. The numbers are massive.
You see the results, right? IITs, IIC getting global recognition, top 200 universities.
Yeah, and those homegrown startups, Zira, Razorpay, BYJUs, they're not just Indian successes anymore, they're global names.
India is now the third biggest startup ecosystem, behind the US and China. But still, number 3. That tells you something about the dynamism.
It really does.
But it's more than just numbers. This younger generation, Gen Z, the sources highlight their aspirations are different. They're much more tuned into climate change, gender issues, rights, how the country is run.
Okay, so they want growth, but not at any cost.
Exactly. They want growth, yes, but without the corruption. Progress, but without compromising on values or the environment. It adds this whole other layer, social, political, to that economic potential.
It's not just a workforce. It's a generation with a vision of its own.
Precisely. Imagine harnessing that energy, that awareness.
Okay, but let's balance the picture. Because despite the vision, the potential, there are major roadblocks. The sources are clear on this?
Yeah, you have to look at the challenges realistically.
And the first big one they flag is this idea of jobless growth.
Right. This is a serious concern.
You've got, 10 to 12 million young people entering the job market every year?
Every single year. Imagine that influx.
But the formal economy is only creating maybe 7 million jobs annually. That's a huge gap.
A persistent gap. And it's not just about quantity.
Even in sectors like tech, which seem booming, you hear about layoffs, automation fears.
Exactly. And there's a mismatch. The sources talk about this. The aspirations of well-educated youth often don't line up with the kinds of jobs readily available.
So you get frustration.
Potentially, yes. A frustration dividend, as some call it. Highly educated, underemployed youth. That can create social friction if not managed carefully. It needs real policy focus.
Okay, challenge number 2. Urban chaos. Our cities.
A very visible challenge.
Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru. They're just overwhelmed, aren't they? Overpopulation is straining everything.
Infrastructure, housing, transport.
Lack of affordable housing is a huge one. Traffic is often gridlocked, pollution levels often dangerously high.
And the green spaces are vanishing. That Bengaluru statistic is shocking.
Losing 88% of its green cover in 20 years. From 2000 to 2020, that's incredible.
It paints a grim picture. And it directly impacts quality of life, doesn't it? And sustainability. How do you manage resources like water, clean air, when cities grow that fast, often unplanned?
It raises fundamental questions about how India manages growth, where people live and work. Needs a total rethink, probably.
A radical rethink, yes. Smart cities, better transport, maybe decentralizing growth away from just the megacities.
Then there's the big one, the climate crisis.
Looming large everywhere, but especially for India.
The sources rank India as the 5th most vulnerable country globally.
5th, that's high risk.
And we're seeing the impacts already.
Stress is becoming chronic in many places.
And extreme weather events, heat waves, floods, droughts have doubled in just a decade.
That acceleration is alarming. It underlines the urgency. The socioeconomic fallout could be massive: agriculture, health, displacement. It touches everything.
Especially for a country still reliant on the monsoon.
Absolutely. It complicates all those development goals we talked about.
Okay, moving inward now. A challenge that's perhaps more complex: caste, religion, and regional polarization.
The deeply sensitive and persistent issue.
The sources point to rising social tensions, sometimes hate crimes, and the role of digital misinformation in fanning the flames.
Misinformation is a key factor here, acting like an accelerant.
And we see flare-ups, right? Internet shutdowns in Manipur, violence in places like New in Haryana. It shows how fragile social harmony can sometimes be.
It does. And these internal divisions, they fundamentally undermine the unity needed for that shared national progress. How do you rise together if segments of society feel marginalized or pitted against each other?
Especially when misinformation spreads so fast online, creating echo chambers.
Exactly. It erodes trust, hardens divisions, and makes that collective vision much harder to achieve.
Okay, one last challenge, and it's an interesting one. Brain drain versus brain gain.
Ah, yes, the push and pull of talent.
On one hand, you see this brain drain. 750,000 Indians gave up citizenship in 2023 alone. That's a lot of skilled people leaving.
It is a significant number. You have to ask why.
But then the flip side, the brain gain. You have global leaders like Sundar Pichai at Google, Satya Nadella at Microsoft, clear examples of Indian talent succeeding hugely on the world stage, and the diaspora's influence.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's clearly a loss when highly skilled people emigrate.
But
the sources suggest it's maybe more complex than just loss. India is creating this global intellectual diaspora.
So they contribute back.
In many ways, yes. Through investment, knowledge transfer, building bridges, enhancing India's soft power. It's not just a one-way street. It's like a distributed talent network. Indian intellect shaping things globally, even from outside India.
A nuanced picture, then. Loss and gain happening at the same time.
Very much so.
Okay, let's pivot now. Despite the challenges, India's role in the world is changing, growing. What do the sources see by 2047 on the global stage?
The projections are significant. Third largest economy globally seems widely expected.
Right, with the world's largest working age population, too.
Which gives it enormous demographic weight. There's talk of a permanent UN Security Council seat, a long-standing ambition.
And leading cooperation among developing nations. Global South leadership.
Definitely. Through platforms like the G20, which had just hosted BRICS, the International Solar Alliance, India is positioning itself as a key voice.
And in tech, space, AI, green energy.
Front and center. These are seen as areas where India can really lead and innovate.
Are there concrete examples, sort of real wins already happening that back this up?
Oh, absolutely. The sources point to several. The G20 presidency in 2023 was a major moment, putting India in the global spotlight.
Right. Very high profile.
Chandrayaan-3 landing on the moon. That wasn't just symbolic. It showcased serious deep tech capability in space.
A huge national achievement.
And then there's UPI, the Unified Payments Interface.
India's digital payment system.
Exactly. It's revolutionary. And now other countries, France, UAE, Singapore, are adopting it or integrating with it.
Yeah.
That shows leadership in digital public infrastructure that others want to emulate.
So these aren't just distant hopes. Things are already moving.
They are. These wins build momentum and credibility for that larger global role.
Okay, so we have the vision, the strengths like the youth, the challenges like jobs and climate, and this growing global influence. What then ultimately decides if India gets to that 2047 vision? What are the key things that must happen?
The sources really zero in on a few critical areas. These are the make or break factors, you could say.
Like what?
Education is huge. Can't just be about degrees. It needs to be skill-based, practical, preparing youth for the jobs of the future, and truly inclusive.
Getting the education system right for that massive youth population.
Crucial. Then healthcare. Building out a strong public system, integrated with technology. Something like the Ayushman Bharat scheme, but maybe even more comprehensive and effective.
Making healthcare accessible and affordable for everyone.
Yes, environment is non-negotiable. Serious, sustained investment in water conservation, pushing EVs, massively scaling up green energy.
Tackling climate change head-on.
It has to be central. Governance, too. That means actively fighting corruption, ensuring data privacy in this digital age, and genuinely empowering citizens, giving them a voice.
Building trust in institutions.
Essential. And unity. Actively promoting diversity, finding ways to combat that misinformation we talked about, protecting minority rights, holding the social fabric together.
Countering those polarization trends.
Yes. And finally, youth leadership. It can't just be older generations setting the agenda. Gen Z needs to be actively involved in politics, in business, in shaping policy. Their energy and aspirations need to be part of the driving force.
So it's not just government policies from the top down.
No, these are areas needing effort across the board: government, industry, civil society, individuals. It's about collective focus and action.
Which brings us right back to that core question you raised at the start. How does a nation this incredibly diverse actually rise together?
That remains the central challenge and the central opportunity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels like 2047 isn't just a date on a calendar for India. It's this enormous undertaking, a challenge that touches everyone.
It really is. And it circles back to that fundamental question. Can India build a nation that's not just economically powerful, but also just compassionate?
And the sources seem to suggest the answer won't just come from government buildings or company boardrooms.
Not solely, no. They suggest it'll be forged in classrooms, in villages and towns, debated in WhatsApp groups, and ultimately built on the dreams and the actions of 1.4 billion people.
Which leads to that final thought from the material we looked at, a really powerful one. India at 2047 is possible.
But only if we rise together.
Leaves you thinking, doesn't it? What role does anyone, even indirectly, play in a national journey that huge? Something to mull over.